Watch this. This is security camera footage from Varna Airport, Bulgaria. July 8, 2014. See that man walking through the terminal? His name is Lars Mittank. He's 28 years old. German tourist. In exactly 47 seconds he's going to do something that makes absolutely no sense. Watch. He's walking normally, carrying his bag. Then something changes. He stops. Looks around. His body language shifts. Now watch carefully. He starts moving faster. Then running. Full sprint through the airport. People are staring. Security doesn't know what's happening. He crashes through the front doors. Keeps running. Jumps over a barrier. And sprints into the forest behind the airport. That was 10 years ago. Lars Mittank has never been seen again. No body. No trace. No explanation. But here's what makes this absolutely insane. This wasn't random panic. This was the end of 5 days of increasingly bizarre behavior. 5 days where Lars Mittank slowly became convinced that someone was hunting him. 5 days that ended with him abandoning everything he owned and running into the wilderness. The last thing he said to his mother on the phone was this: "I don't want to die here." What was he running from? Was someone actually chasing him? Or was something else happening inside his mind? Because the airport footage shows something disturbing. Right before he runs, a construction worker approaches him. Just walks up. Says something. And Lars loses it. Completely panics and bolts. That construction worker? Never identified. Nobody knows who he was or what he said. This is the story of a man who disappeared in front of dozens of witnesses, captured on multiple security cameras, and still nobody knows what happened to him. July 30, 2014. 8 days before the airport incident. Lars Mittank is on vacation in Golden Sands, Bulgaria. It's a beach resort town on the Black Coast, popular with young German tourists. Lars is there with 5 of his friends. They're celebrating. Germany just won the World Cup. They're watching the final match at a beach bar, drinking, having a good time. Lars is a normal guy. He works in his family's business back in Germany. He's close with his parents, calls his mom regularly. His friends describe him as easygoing, friendly, never gets into trouble. This is supposed to be a simple vacation. 1 week of sun, beer and soccer. Everything is fine until the night of June 30th. The group is at a bar watching the World Cup final. Germany versus Argentina. The place is packed with German fans. Everyone's drinking, singing, celebrating. At some point during the night, Lars gets separated from his friends. He ends up talking to some other German tourists. Nobody remembers exactly what happened next, but there's an altercation. Some reports say it started over soccer rivalry. Others say it was about a girl. Whatever triggered it, Lars gets into a fight with 4 other German men. It's not a serious brawl, more of a scuffle, pushing and shoving. But during the fight, someone hits Lars on the side of his head. He goes down. His friends find him a few minutes later. There's no visible injury, no blood, but Lars is holding his ear. He says his hearing feels weird. Muffled. There's pressure inside his head. They take him back to the hotel. Lars thinks he'll be fine. Probably just temporary. They all go to sleep. The next morning, July 1st, Lars wakes up in serious pain. His ear is killing him. The pressure hasn't gone away, it's gotten worse. He can barely hear out of his right ear. His friends are worried now. They take him to a local doctor. The doctor examines him and delivers bad news. Lars has a ruptured eardrum. The blow to his head during the fight tore the membrane. It's not life-threatening, but it's serious enough that he can't fly. Changes in air pressure during the flight could cause more damage, possibly permanent hearing loss or worse complications. The doctor tells him he needs to wait at least a week before flying home. He prescribes antibiotics to prevent infection and tells Lars to come back for a follow-up examination before his flight. This is where the story takes its first dark turn. Lars's friends have to go back to Germany. They all have jobs, responsibilities. They can't extend their vacation for a week. Lars understands. He tells them it's fine, he'll stay alone, rest and fly home when the doctor clears him. They book him a new flight for July 8th. They give him some money for the extra week of hotel and food. They promise to stay in touch. On July 1st, his friends fly back to Germany. Lars Mittank is now alone in Bulgaria with a ruptured eardrum, in a country where he doesn't speak the language, waiting for his ear to heal. For the next few days, everything seems okay. Lars stays in his hotel, the Varna Hotel in Golden Sands. He keeps in contact with his mother, Sandra Mittank, calling her daily. He tells her about his injury, says he's bored but fine. He's just resting, watching TV, not doing much. But on July 5th something changes. Lars calls his mother. His voice sounds different. Anxious. Paranoid. He tells her that he's scared. He says there are people following him. He won't say who. Just people. He thinks they want to hurt him. Sandra tries to calm him down. She asks questions. Who's following you? Why would anyone follow you? Did something happen? Lars doesn't give clear answers. He just keeps repeating that he needs to be careful, that someone is watching him. Sandra is confused but not overly worried yet. She thinks maybe he's just lonely, maybe the isolation is getting to him, maybe the medication is making him anxious. She tells him to stay in his room, rest, and everything will be fine once he gets home. But Lars doesn't stay in his room. That same day, July 5th, Lars suddenly checks out of the Veronica hotel. He doesn't tell anyone why. He just packs his bag and leaves. He goes to a different hotel about a kilometer away. A cheaper place. He checks in using cash. Why would he change hotels? If he's paranoid about being followed, moving to a new location makes sense. But there's no evidence anyone was actually following him at the Veronica. Staff members say they never noticed anything unusual. No suspicious people asking about him. Nothing. On July 6th, Lars calls his mother again. This time he sounds worse. More agitated. He tells her he's changed hotels. He says he had to leave. When she asks why, he says they were getting too close. He still won't explain who they are. Sandra is now seriously worried. She asks if he wants her to come to Bulgaria, to fly down and bring him home early. Lars says no. He says he just needs to make it to his flight on July 8th. 2 more days. He can make it 2 more days. That night, July 6th, hotel staff at the new hotel report that Lars was acting strangely. He kept looking out his window, checking the door multiple times. He asked the staff if anyone had been asking about him. They said no. He didn't seem satisfied with that answer. July 7th. The day before his scheduled flight. Lars has an appointment with the doctor for his follow-up examination. He needs medical clearance to fly. He goes to the clinic. The doctor examines his ear. The eardrum is healing but not completely. Technically, the doctor should tell him to wait a few more days. But Lars is clearly desperate to leave. He's anxious, jumpy, keeps looking at the door. The doctor can tell something is wrong beyond the ear injury. The doctor makes a decision. He clears Lars to fly. He writes a prescription for antibiotics that Lars should take during and after the flight. He tells Lars to see a specialist when he gets back to Germany. Lars takes the prescription paper and leaves. But here's something crucial. Lars never fills that prescription. He never gets the antibiotics. When his belongings are later examined, the prescription paper is there, but no medication. Why wouldn't he fill it? Was he too paranoid to go to a pharmacy? Did he not have time? Or had he already decided he wasn't going to take the flight? That night, July 7th, Lars makes his final call to his mother. It's late, around 11 p.m. Sandra's phone rings. She answers. On the other end, Lars is whispering. He sounds terrified. He tells her he's hiding in his hotel room. He's pushed furniture against the door. He says they are outside. 4 men. The same men from the fight on June 30th. The men who ruptured his eardrum. He says they found him. They've been following him this whole time. They're outside his room right now. He can hear them. Sandra is panicked now. She tells him to call the police. Call hotel security. Call someone. Lars says he can't. He doesn't trust anyone. He thinks the men have paid off the hotel staff. He needs to get out. He needs to leave Bulgaria immediately. He tells his mother his plan. He's going to sneak out of the hotel early in the morning. Before dawn. He's going to take a taxi directly to the airport. He's going to hide there until his flight. He just needs to make it through the night and get on that plane. Sandra begs him to be safe. To call her as soon as he's at the airport. Lars promises he will. He tells her he loves her. Then he says those final words, "I don't want to die here, Mama." The call ends. Sandra doesn't sleep that night. She's waiting for Lars to call from the airport. Hours pass. Dawn comes. No call. Finally, around 9 a.m. on July 8th, Sandra's phone rings. It's not Lars. It's the German embassy in Bulgaria. They tell her that Lars made it to the airport. He was seen at Varna Airport that morning. But then something happened. He panicked and ran away. He left all his belongings behind. Security footage captured everything. And now nobody knows where he is. Let's break down exactly what happened at the airport, because this is where the footage becomes crucial. July 8th, approximately 7:30 a.m. Lars arrives at Varna Airport in a taxi. The taxi driver later tells police that Lars seemed nervous during the ride but not panicking. He paid his fare, got out and walked into the terminal carrying his bag. Airport security cameras capture him entering. He looks tired. He's wearing a yellow t-shirt with the word rock star on it, cargo shorts and sneakers. He's carrying a black backpack. He walks through the terminal like any other passenger. He goes to the check-in counter for his flight. Hands over his passport and ticket. Everything processes normally. His bag is checked. He gets his boarding pass. The flight is scheduled to depart at 10:40 a.m. He has 3 hours to wait. So far everything is fine. Lars proceeds through to the waiting area. There's a small cafe. He sits down. Orders something to drink. Camera footage shows him sitting alone looking at his phone, checking his watch. He seems anxious but not in crisis. Around 8:30 a.m. something changes. A man approaches Lars. He's wearing construction worker clothes, appears to be part of the airport maintenance crew. He walks up to where Lars is sitting. Says something to him. We don't have audio, so we don't know what was said. Lars's body language immediately shifts. He stands up quickly, steps back. The construction worker is still talking, gesturing casually, like he's just asking a normal question or offering help. But Lars is now visibly agitated. The construction worker reaches out, maybe trying to calm him down or hand him something. And that's when Lars loses it. He backs away fast, stumbling over a chair. Then he turns and runs. Not walks quickly. Full sprint. Through the terminal. People turn to watch. Security guards start moving, but they're confused. Is this a threat? A medical emergency? They don't know what they're responding to. Lars crashes through the exit doors, the ones that lead outside to the front of the airport. He doesn't stop. He jumps over a low barrier fence. And he keeps running toward the tree line behind the airport parking lot. Security guards chase him briefly but lose sight of him in the vegetation. They radio for backup. Airport police search the area surrounding the terminal. They find nothing. No sign of Lars. Inside the terminal they find his backpack. Still sitting where he left it. Inside, his wallet with all his money and credit cards, his phone, his passport, his boarding pass, extra clothes, medication. Everything he needs to survive or to get home. All abandoned. The construction worker who approached him? Nobody can find him. Airport management reviews their maintenance staff roster. No one matching his description was scheduled to work that morning. Some witnesses say he might not have been a real worker. He might have just been wearing similar clothes. Nobody got his name. Nobody knows who he was or what he wanted. Airport security reviews all camera footage. They track Lars's movements up until he enters the forest. Then nothing. The tree line is too dense. They lose him. Police are called. Search teams are organized. They comb through the forest and the surrounding area. Dogs are brought in. Helicopters do aerial searches. They find absolutely nothing. No trace of Lars Mittank. How is that possible? This is a man wearing a bright yellow shirt, running through an airport in broad daylight, with dozens of witnesses and cameras capturing everything. How does he just vanish? Over the following days and weeks, the search expands. Police interview everyone at the airport that morning. The taxi driver, the check-in clerk, cafe workers, other passengers. Everyone says the same thing. Lars seemed nervous but not threatening. He wasn't violent. He just ran. The construction worker is never identified. Some people suggest he might not have been real. That Lars hallucinated him. But multiple witnesses saw him. He shows up on camera footage. He was definitely there. So who was he? What did he say to Lars? And why did he disappear immediately afterward? Theories start forming. The case gets media attention in Germany and Bulgaria. People are desperate to understand what happened. Theory 1. Drug-induced psychosis. Remember the fight on June 30th? Some investigators believe that during that altercation, Lars might have been drugged. Maybe someone slipped something into his drink before or during the fight. Rohypnol, GHB or something similar. These drugs can cause paranoia, memory loss, and auditory hallucinations days after consumption. Another possibility: Lars took drugs voluntarily at some point during his vacation. MDMA, cocaine, or synthetic drugs are relatively common at Bulgarian beach resorts. If he experimented with something and had a bad reaction, it could explain the paranoia and irrational behavior. But his friends insist Lars wasn't a drug user. They say he barely drank. The autopsy. Except there is no autopsy because there's no body. His blood was never tested because he disappeared before anyone thought to test him. Theory 2: he was actually being followed. Maybe Lars wasn't paranoid. Maybe those 4 men from the fight really were stalking him. Maybe they wanted revenge. Maybe the fight was about something more serious than anyone realized. Some people suggest the fight might have been drug-related. Maybe Lars saw something he shouldn't have. Maybe he got involved with the wrong people. Bulgarian police have acknowledged that organized crime operates in tourist areas. Drug trafficking, theft rings, scams targeting tourists. If Lars inadvertently crossed the wrong people, they might have been hunting him. The construction worker at the airport could have been one of them. Not actually a maintenance worker. Just someone dressed that way to blend in. He approaches Lars. Says something threatening. "We found you." Lars panics and runs. But here's the problem with this theory. If someone wanted to hurt Lars, they had multiple opportunities over those 5 days. He was alone. Isolated. Easy to target. Why wait until he's at an airport surrounded by security and witnesses? It doesn't make tactical sense. Theory 3: mental breakdown. This is the theory most medical professionals support. They believe Lars experienced an acute psychotic break triggered by the head trauma from the fight. A ruptured eardrum can sometimes be associated with more serious head injuries. Concussion. Brain trauma. Even a minor concussion can cause personality changes, paranoia, and irrational thinking. Combined with stress, isolation, being in a foreign country, not speaking the language, and possibly not sleeping well, Lars's mental state could have deteriorated rapidly. The paranoia, the hotel changes, the phone calls to his mother describing people following him, these are classic symptoms of acute paranoid psychosis. The construction worker might have just been a normal person asking if he was okay or if he needed help. But in Lars's fractured mental state, he interpreted it as a threat and fled. Where did he go after running into the forest? In a psychotic state, people often don't think logically. He might have kept running until he collapsed from exhaustion. He might have gotten lost in the terrain around the airport. The area has dense vegetation, old abandoned buildings, caves. He could have hidden somewhere and succumbed to dehydration, exposure, or his injuries. His body might still be out there in a location searchers missed. Theory 4: voluntary disappearance. This is the most controversial theory, but some people believe Lars planned his disappearance. That the paranoia, the strange behavior, the airport incident, all of it was theater. Why would he do that? Maybe he had debts. Maybe he was involved in something illegal. Maybe he wanted to escape his life. Staging a dramatic disappearance at an airport would ensure everyone believed something happened to him. It would explain why he's never been found. Because he doesn't want to be found. But this theory has major flaws. Lars left behind all his money, his identification, his phone. How would he survive in Bulgaria with no resources? And his relationship with his family was strong. There's no indication he wanted to leave them. The pain in his mother's voice during media interviews is genuine. She doesn't believe he ran away. Theory 5: human trafficking. Some investigators have raised the possibility that Lars was abducted. That someone at the airport was working with traffickers. The construction worker approaches him, threatens him, tells him his family will be hurt unless he cooperates. Lars panics, runs thinking he can escape. But there are other people waiting outside. They intercept him in the forest. He's taken. Bulgaria has been identified as a transit country for human trafficking. Could a 28-year-old German man be a target? It's rare but not impossible. However, there's no evidence of any abduction. No witnesses saw anyone grabbing him. No suspicious vehicles. Nothing. So where is Lars Mittank? 10 years have passed. His family has never stopped searching. His mother Sandra has spent those years fighting to keep the case alive. She's hired private investigators. She's traveled to Bulgaria multiple times, putting up posters, searching the forests around the airport herself. She's appeared on television, given interviews, begged for anyone with information to come forward. Nothing. The last confirmed sighting is that security footage of him running into the forest. After that, it's like he ceased to exist. There have been alleged sightings over the years. Someone claims they saw him in a small Bulgarian town working at a construction site. Someone else says they saw him living rough on the streets of Sofia. Every lead has been investigated. Every lead has gone nowhere. In 2020, a hiker found human remains in the woods not far from Varna Airport. Sandra held her breath, waiting for DNA results. It wasn't Lars. It was a Bulgarian man who had been missing for years. German authorities officially list Lars as a missing person. Bulgarian police say the case remains open, but there are no active leads. Without a body, without witnesses, without evidence, there's nowhere to go. But let's go back to that footage. Because there's something about it that haunts everyone who watches it. Watch his face in those final moments before he runs. He's not angry. He's not confused. He's absolutely terrified. Whatever that construction worker said to him, whatever Lars saw or believed he saw, it was so frightening that he abandoned everything and ran for his life. What could cause that level of fear? If you were Lars, what would someone have to say to make you do what he did? What threat would be so immediate, so overwhelming, that your only option is to drop everything and flee? Some people believe that in those final seconds, Lars finally saw whatever had been haunting him for 5 days. The thing he'd been running from. And it was real. It was right there. And his only option was to run. Others believe his mind created an enemy that didn't exist. That the construction worker was just a man. But to Lars he was a demon. A threat. Proof that the paranoia was justified. We'll never know what Lars Mittank was thinking in those final moments. We'll never know if he was running from real danger or from shadows in his own mind. We'll never know if he's alive somewhere, living under a new identity, unable or unwilling to come home. Or if his body is lying in those Bulgarian woods, missed by every search team waiting to be found. What we do know is this. On July 8, 2014, a 28-year-old man ran out of an airport and vanished into thin air. And 10 years later, despite cameras, despite witnesses, despite massive searches, we are no closer to finding him than we were on that day. Lars Mittank is gone. And the only evidence we have is 47 seconds of security footage showing a man so terrified he left his entire life behind. What was he running from? That's the question his mother asks every day. That's the question that keeps this case alive. And it's a question that may never have an answer. If you have any information about Lars Mittank, contact the German Federal Police or the Bulgarian authorities. Even the smallest detail could be the key to bringing him home. And if you want to see more cases like this, cases where the evidence is there but the answers aren't, subscribe to this channel. Hit the notification bell. Because some mysteries don't just haunt investigators. They haunt all of us. Lars Mittank ran into the forest. And the forest never gave him back.